the pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Cheers. We do have one member remotely online. Mark,
Yes, I'm here.
are you by yourself?
Absolutely.
Okay, I think we'll go ahead and do voice roll call.
McKellar,
Here.
Bowser,
Here.
Gilman.
Yep.
Merrick.
Here.
And Brown.
Here. All right. Looking for approval.
With the change added, I'll make that.
Well, hold on a second here. Do we have to, are we online? That's another thing I have to ask. Are we online?
Yes, we're on.
And we're up and running. Okay. All right, now I will
I would
ask.
make the motion to approve the agenda with the addition of action item I.
Support.
Motion and support. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Bowser,
Yes.
Gilman,
Yes.
Merrick,
Yes.
McKellar,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes. Conflicts of interest. Any conflicts of interest? Bill?
None.
No.
Jason?
No.
Andy? Mark? Mark?
No conflict.
And myself, no conflict. Okay, action items, appointments tonight. Oh, public comment. I'll back up a step. Kylie, would you please read the public comment?
Any person may make an advanced appointment with the board regarding road commission topics for a regular or special meeting in accordance with the Open Meetings Act. If an appointment is made, the topic will be an agenda item. The following applies to public comments. Please state his or her name and address. Topic must be relevant to the road commission. Individuals are allowed to speak once for up to 3 minutes on a single topic, which may be extended by the chair. A group addressing the board requires a designated spokesperson who may speak up to 10 minutes. And the board will not act on any item from the public that is not on the agenda. For people using the Zoom software, please raise your hand through Zoom. We will unmute callers. If you wish to speak, say yes.
And there's one caller on. So caller with the last 3 digits of their phone of 890. If you would like to speak, I will unmute you now.
Yes, John Nelson, 4022 Incochee Crest Commons, Traverse City, Michigan. First of all, I hope you're all safe and well and wish you well in the future as this pandemic goes forward. In 2013, there was a millage, a very successful millage that was passed to basically fix our existing road system and basically not to construct any new infrastructure. That I very much advocated for that millage and worked hard to make sure that it would pass. In 2016, that was renewed. Again, I supported it and worked hard and advocated for its passage. What I'm a little bit concerned about is that for both of those, a resolution was passed, and I read from it in the be it therefore, the Board of County Road Commissioners of Grand Traverse County commits to prioritize its regular, and I underline regular road and millage fund resources to their intended purpose of maintenance, improvement, and preservation of the existing road system. I just find it troubling that we've spent almost $500,000 on chasing this new bridge crossing of the river, and now we're going forward with phase 2 that might be as much as $2 million, and that money could be used to fix our existing road system. And that's the question I ask, that the Act 51 money and the millage money is all fungible. So any of that money can be used to fix our existing road system. and I find it troubling that we're spending it for something else. Thank you so much for your attention. I'm muted.
Anyone else, Joe?
Raise hands at the time.
No one else?
Should I open up the chat if someone wants to type? The chat line is open if you would like to comment by typing.
I think it's supposed to be 30 seconds. Which is a lot longer than you think. 30 seconds. It really is.
Washing your hands.
There you go. I think according to the rule, I think it's 30 seconds. Joe.
No one,
No one?
no one.
Okay, very good. We'll close public comment. Action items, appointments. There are none tonight. Consent calendar. Kylie?
The consent calendar is used to expedite business by grouping non-controversial items together without discussion. Requests by any person present to remove any item from the consent calendar for full discussion as agenda items are automatically respected. The action noted in parentheses for all items remaining on the consent calendar are approved by a single commission action adopting the consent calendar. The manager recommends the following items be adopted. 1, minutes. 2, payroll. 3, accounts payable. 4, financial reports. And 5, reports and communications.
I guess, does anybody here or Mark online like any of the items pulled?
I'm good.
Nope. All good.
No. I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented.
Support. Motion and support. Roll call, Kevin?
Gilman,
Yes.
Merrick,
Yes.
McKellar,
Yes.
Mauser,
Yes.
and Brown.
Yes. Item C, items removed, there are none. Item D, this would be Wayne, engineering reimbursement form.
This is basically a standard annual form through Act 51 that you have retained a professional engineer on staff. And so therefore you are eligible, so you are eligible for a $10,000 reimbursement from Act 51.
Okay.
Yeah, I found it interesting. Literally 2 days ago, I was going through Act 51 and I saw this and I thought, geez, that's just not enough. and then it pops up on this.
So,
Is that a motion?
That's a motion.
that's a motion to accept. Okay.
Support.
Motion by Jason, supported by Andy, to sign the reimbursement form for the engineer. Any discussion? Kylie?
Merrick,
Yes.
McKellar,
Yes.
Mauser,
Yes.
Gilman,
Yes.
and Brown.
Yes. Item E, 55-ton lowboy trailer recommendation. This is Brad.
Yeah, so we have gone out for a bid. The current lowboy we have is no longer really serving the purposes that we have. It's a 1977 lowboy. It's not long enough. It's not strong enough to hold some of our equipment. In fact, we tried to put some of our equipment on it and it just basically would not fit. We could not get it to actually be functional. So
40 years old.
yes. We looked around, we put out specs, and we did find that we had a good number of people that went out and said that they met the specs, but when we did a closer analysis of it, a couple of them weren't quite at the point of meeting the spec. They said they were, but they really weren't. And then a couple of them were just way out there. in deliverable time frame. Overall, our best trailer that we felt that met our specs and did everything we needed was provided by Lakeshore, which is $77,240. And that is in stock. We can have it right away. So we just have to have them bring it up to us once we get approval. It meets all our specs. It's long enough. It has multiple tie downs to hold our grader with the walk behind pack and roll thing, which is important. And it's going to be something we can use to get all of our equipment instead of driving these pieces of equipment across town. I mean, when you start putting road miles on an excavator and road miles on a grader, it's detrimental over the long haul for the number of miles we're trying to do them. So by being able to put them up on the lowboy and get them to where they need to be, number one, we're doing it a lot faster. Number two, we're saving abuse on them. We feel that the $77,000 is going to buy us a trailer that will last at least 20, potentially 25 years. Obviously, if the last one lasted over 40. So, I mean, it shouldn't be something that's a normal purchase. It won't fall into the normal rotation of replacement, as we would just basically keep it until it is no longer functional for what we need. So we would like, this is not something that we originally budgeted for, but we do have it available in the budget. We've been able to look at where we stand and where all of our monies are, and we have the money available to purchase this and then get it into service yet here in the next couple of weeks.
How often in a year is this, do you think this will be used?
At least once a week, probably closer to twice a week. Okay. Especially with us doing gravel roads.
Because that tells us how many hours roughly we're saving on a piece of equipment, for example, hours time on a piece of heavy equipment.
Yeah, because we're talking about with all the gravel road maintenance that we're trying to do, you got to get that excavator out there. And if the excavators could be there for 2 weeks, we've got to get the grader out to an area. It could be there for a week to 2 weeks. So it's going to be used at least once a week, potentially twice a week to move between projects. And it could be used for anywhere from 2 hours to 4 hours during that.
And thinking that we go 25 years with something like this, it literally costs us $10 a day. That's what it costs us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would move to accept the bid from Lakeshore for $77,240, more or less.
No,
Or what?
no, we don't do that anymore.
Not on purchases like this.
Yeah.
Some of Wayne's stuff we do.
Okay, all right. Well,
That dollar.
exactly $77,240. I'll support that.
Okay, motion and support. Any further discussion?
Now, this is not gonna be, or is gonna be part of the asset management where we're rotating.
It will be, but it's not going to be a schedule. It's going to be based on where and based on usability. So it will discuss it, and we will talk about it as far as depreciation and that type of thing. But we're really going to look at it as to when it reaches a point where it's starting to become questionable for us to have, or it's starting to become not to the specs that we need as our equipment's changed. I mean, the trailer we've had for years has been fine. Now we have new graders that are longer.
Is that something that's gonna be possibly an issue in 5 years if the equipment may change enough? That
I
we
don't
because
think this
we-
equipment's gonna get.
Not
for what we're doing.
we've got the big dogs for
Yeah.
what we're doing.
Yeah.
So that's not gonna be an issue, and where we're not gonna come back in 5 years and go, oh, son of a gun, we didn't think about.
No, because we got a very long trailer this time, so that it will
What
fit
is
the
this, a
grader.
4-axle? Is that what?
Yeah,
Okay, that's a good size.
yeah, it's long.
That's a good size.
26 feet flat.
Right.
Air space, so it's long and it's gonna cover us for everything we have and everything we can foresee needing in the near future.
Bill, anything?
No, it sounds like a good deal.
Mark, anything?
Nope, I'm,
Okay. Roll call.
Keller.
Help me, you're.
McKellar,
Yes.
Mauser,
Can you hear me?
Gilman,
Yes.
Merrick,
Yes.
and Brown.
Yes. Okay, now we're gonna dispose of
Yeah.
the old one. Is that what we're doing here? Or something else? Go ahead,
This is our
Brad.
rebate plan here.
Go ahead.
We have the 1977 Rogers Lowboy trailer, which we expect, we'll get a little bit for it. And then we also have an old rototiller attachment. We don't use it. It's not something we're ever going
Well,
to
we have
use.
a rototiller attachment for reclaiming.
No, they used to use it for dealing with the shoulders. When the shoulders would have things on the edge and they needed to deal with it, they used to use it. But now with the way we take out High Ridge, we have equipment that does it better. We don't have to worry about using this rototiller. And it was really not something that we would ever think about using again, based on what we've learned and how we've improved our operation.
So it's for high ridge removal.
Well, and
What do we
shoulder repairs, that type of thing, loosening up the dirt so we could shape it better.
Okay.
We just, we
That
have
makes more
better
sense than what I
equipment.
was thinking when I read that. Rototiller.
Not doing gardens on the side.
No,
Well,
Little flower beds.
disposal equipment, I don't know if we need to do anything.
Don't we have to declare it as excessive?
yeah, we normally get a resolution
Okay.
or an approval from you
to
because it
dispose of
is
it, okay.
disposal of asset.
I'll make a motion that we declare this excess and direct staff to liquidate, dispose of, get rid of at the best market we can.
I'll support that.
Okay, motion and support. Any further? Kylie?
Mauser,
Yes.
Gilman,
Yes.
Merrick,
Yes.
McKellar,
Yes.
and Brown.
Yes. Okay, Traverse City roof repair recommendation.
Okay. This is the next portion of the roof. They've been replacing everything that we originally did that absolutely was horrible. Well, now we've also found that we have even more leaks springing up. Our vehicle storage garage, when we get these rains, you could basically drive through and wash your car through the amount of rain that's falling. So we need to
$500,000
so we need to get this done. And one of the big savings with it for us is to go with white for the stuff that is not visible from the road, and then green to make it still look nice from the road. So that cut our price down a little bit, but it is the same company who's been doing the work here. To date, we are very pleased with what they've done. They've already sealed up all of the leaks that we had. We haven't been having any leaks, and they've given us a better insulation factor too with the way it's being done. So we recommend Springfield be awarded this contract for $339,437. This was budgeted in at $400,000. So we are less than what we anticipated. Coincidentally, I'm pretty close to that 77,000.
Yeah, well, it is what it is.
So it's, it fits in nicely. We have some good experience, like I say, with them, and we're pretty comfortable that is the best.
And they're comfortable, and you note, you gotta see the 15 to 25-year difference, and that is primarily, they're using a 60 mil per story. Is there that much of a difference, do you think? I mean.
Not really. I have a smaller or a thinner gauge than that on my house, and they gave you a 50-year. The reason why that is used as a 15-year is because it's an industrial building, and it's basically the length of it with the fact that if you had an area where you had extreme high winds all the time, sometimes with the thinner material it can get scooped, but if we have that type of material, or that type of wind here, we've got more issues to worry about.
Right.
So with the white, is that
The white will be-
is that an energy rated? Because there was different color when I was doing roofing, that you'd get an Energy Star would be more cost effective because of the radiant, so it would. These
These are both coming in at the same R values for us. The biggest thing with these is they are separated and there is an insulation area in between them.
But it wasn't the R value, it was a reflective value. So it was like-
We have not seen, but white is obviously going to be better
But
reflectivity.
What you're saying is true, Andy. There's certain, in shingles, there's certain colors that meet the Energy Star classification, and there's certain colors that don't.
And
You are-
green
you are-
does not.
You're correct.
Green is the hottest.
Right.
Well,
I will never do another green roof ever.
but this is, I mean, it's to match the front. We went with the green around the admin
Which
cabinet
makes
building.
sense for the aesthetics of
Yeah.
it, but, I wasn't sure if they weren't coding it as an Energy Star, that's just
No.
a cheaper color.
It's
for
just
them
a
to
cheaper because it's not
So
as expensive.
everything
of a
they're
paint.
doing is gonna have the R22 insulation on it under.
It's gonna be,
underneath the
yes,
fabric.
an increase over what we have now.
Right, on top of what we
Right.
have. Okay.
They're doing that sandwich type stuff on there.
Yeah, it's sitting over there, the stuff that they use.
And it was budgeted, and we're
Yes, it was.
under budget.
And we are under budget.
I'll make a motion that we go with Springfield for the parking garage roof, the shop roof, and the admin roof for a total of $339,437. For the 15-year.
Motion. No. Motion by Andy.
You already ruined my run, man.
Seconded by Bill. Is there any further comments on it? I mean, the roof out here looks great. I'd see they got some flashing left to put up there on
Yeah.
the sidewalls there, but,
Yeah, they've got
But-
still some little things
but
left to
it looks,
do.
it looks good. It looks like it's good, so.
Yeah.
Hopefully that'll take care of our other issues. I'm sure it will.
Yeah.
I'm sure it will. So. Anybody else? Any comments? Tyler?
Gilman,
Yes.
Merrick,
Yes.
McKellar,
Yes.
Hauser,
Yeah,
and Brown.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Item H, consultant recommendation for east-west corridor phase 2A.
okay. After our, work session, I think we pretty much covered most of what is here. Both Wayne and I can answer any questions you have. We are both still comfortable with OHM. We've looked, and everything we've looked through, we're still feel that they are probably the best ones for us. They have local people, they have people downstate, but they're not far away even then. And we have some additional things, and Wayne can talk to you a little bit about it as far as giving you guys a little more comfort with how they will be dealing with things, because it's a lot cheaper now as we learn these things with having these electronic meetings. We can do a lot of stuff with them, saving money by having them be here virtually.
Okay.
So I'll let Wayne go ahead from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, stay away from me, man.
All right. So just a couple items I just wanted to kind of highlight here with this and accepting OHM and their RFQs onto here. So we understand that the Pell process is a federal process, and it's a schedule that just can't be pushed. That's the important thing. So with this Pell process also, we must allow this flexibility within the scheduling, and that's based on these stakeholders and these public engagement meetings. That's what happened during phase 1. MDOT there really wasn't much of a delay with getting, with working with MDOT. We actually had included a couple additional meetings, and that's because in those stakeholder and local agency group meetings, people were not coming to a consensus yet. So a couple of additional meetings, if you recall, needed to be added in order to make that process, complete that process out there. So we have that there. And then in our communication plan, so phase 1 dealt with pretty much OHM's entire communication plan was with staff on that. And unfortunately, we had changeover in with staff on that there. And so, perhaps that was our lack of being able to properly bring all that information to you on that. With phase two, there is a number of different meetings that we have with local agency and stakeholder groups. And these are estimated, and it depends again on how well those groups are coming together as to whether all those meetings will be necessary. For instance, we've got in here, just to the right page, maybe not. We've got meetings in here identified for, I got too many papers here. Okay, so we've got, with the agency coordination, that's our other government entities out there, we've got 3 different meetings set up. If it takes 3 meetings, it takes 3. If it takes 4, it takes 4. It might just take 1 or 2, okay? But these are, what OHM and WSP has done is they've drawn upon their past practices and experience in doing these Pell processes. And on the average, 3 meetings works. With local agency groups, they've got intended in there 5 different meetings with the local agency group. And these are all personal. These are bodies in a room. Hopefully, I'm sure we'll probably utilize technology, Zoom, perhaps even for some of those.
So the local agency is,
So
again,
So local agency group, that's going to be your,
that's the professionals, the businesses and stuff? Or is that the government?
no, the governmental, and those are your agency coordination. So that's your FHWA, that's your MDOT, your Eagle, DNR, U.S. Fisheries, those. So our local agency groups are our special interest groups in and around our community. And that's where they select one representative to be their person at these meetings.
Would that count township, or is that another?
I have to,
Township for some of the.
yes, correct, right. So they would have, people identified into there.
Okay.
Then we've got stakeholder group meetings. Those are, again, some of these, very interested groups on there. There's 3 meetings identified in there. 5 public meetings. These are the big ones. These are where, as we're hitting these particular mile points in the process, is that then we have these public meetings out there, and that's where we gather in, all the public's input onto it as we've gone through the process with our LAG groups. Okay, so that's in the neighborhood of around 16 different physical meetings that they would have, that OHM, WSP would have representatives physically up here doing. Now, what we're also able to do, and this has been, I think this is really kind of shown up very well as to how well we're able to communicate with Zoom, for instance, but our modern technology here. So we have they're set up into here. There's going to be, monthly update meetings with the OHM, WSP staff, and with GTCRC staff on there, so that we're staying up to date onto these. That also has the ability then for board meetings where they could be giving updates at board meetings via Zoom onto there. That keeps the number of hours down of paying someone just to drive, 3 hours up, 3 hours back. Well, we can kind of keep that down because on that by having presentations done via the technology onto that. So we could have them up here on on major mile points on these bigger points there for presentations onto that. So that's different ways that they're looking. They're very open to working with us as to how to look at and contain costs where we don't necessarily need to be, wasting it for little or no return on value.
Jason?
So do the remote meetings, do they qualify, do they meet the requirements for the ongoing Pell process?
So the remote meetings would be, it's more administrative type of work where we're getting updates, they're getting updates. Informing you, the board, updates on that there. That's more of an administrative process in through there. It's the public meetings that, and the local agency group meetings and those stakeholder group meetings, those are the ones that are required with the Pell process.
Okay, and those still have to be held in person at a location?
I believe, well,
I mean, because clearly that would save us as well, if it could be done in such a way that, you know, a virtual feedback, you know, session.
right. You know, that I would have to look into, you know, the rules right now are all a little bit different with.
Well, see, that's the
with
thing,
this.
right now, we're
So-
operating under the state rules,
Correct.
but that's a whole federal bureaucracy that or bureaucratic, nightmare that we have to deal with for that.
I'm sure that if we follow the current rules that are in place, placed by the state of Michigan, that our FHWA partners would look at that and proceed along with that and accept that.
Anything, Bill?
One thing Wayne and I had discussed is, no matter who we, or how this proceeds, when these things do begin to happen, and we do start having public meetings, we would like to have at least one board member dedicated to showing up at these meetings, to show that we have a board that's supportive of it and they're keeping up to speed. So, you know, at some point, as we move forward and we start doing that, think about, you know, who on the board would be able to attend a lot of these meetings.
Do you want the same board member or?
It would be nice to have the same, just because they would be keeping up to speed with everything and they wouldn't miss anything. Obviously, if someone has to miss one and we can get somebody else, that's fine. But it'd be nice to always have, you know, at least one board meeting and preferably the same. One board
And that
member.
doesn't, anybody, any one of us can go.
But it-
Or more than one, it doesn't
Right.
matter.
He's just looking for someone to have some consistency.
Right, so that they're seeing as things are going along too, they can see it with their own eyes of what's happening and potentially have another viewpoint of, you know, how we need to address certain things and make sure we're all staying on the same page as we move forward.
My question, you know, I understand, you know, the cost savings in that, but how are we gonna know that we're actually saving anything? You know, I mean, how do we know, you know, if we're doing some of this other stuff remotely, are we gonna get a discount at the end, or what, how are we gonna know that we're getting a better deal or not getting a better deal, or is it just the price that they quoted us, I guess? How would we even know that?
Well, it's a contract with them, based on their time and usage and their hours rates. I mean,
So there's like a max
So-
we're gonna give,
Well,
or the max is.
well, max issue, I mean, because, yeah, you know, if it's like one extra meeting or something into there, I'm sure that's not going to be, you know, they're not gonna say, oh, hey, I had an extra 15 minutes on there. It's not like that. But, you know, I mean, when there's meetings that are, if there's meetings that are canceled off or whatever, that's more time there. But it's hard to discern as we're going through here, and we're eliminating these alternatives. It depends on how quick alternatives are eliminated out.
Sure.
How much that they find out that they're getting into, what are, you know, if there's only one big red environmental issue on one spot versus 3. So those things all
There's a lot of
kind of vary.
variables.
There's a lot of variables in here.
And that's kind of the idea we had of having them do these virtual meetings with you as a board, so you know where we're coming from, and we can agree that, you know, this is what is causing delays, what is causing us to be able to show savings, you know, either way, because I think, you know, when we start having some of these virtual meetings, we're noticing it already, you know, it's nice to be able to just jump on with them for an hour, and you can answer a lot of questions in between things.
So basically, there'd be a contract for services at a rate for this, and for this, and how many hours they put in, under each of the different categories is what the total price.
Yeah, and we have their estimate of what they expect based on their experience doing these type of processes, of how many hours they're gonna have involved. If it needs more, they'll be coming to you continuously to say where the more is coming from. If it needs less, we're gonna shave off whatever we can to keep it live.
When they're sending us updates on the hours and stuff, they're used weekly, monthly, quarterly, at the end of the
Well-
budget.
Well, I don't know about that they'd be doing.
I mean, we should have an idea as we go at different points of how much time they put in.
How often did we pay them last time, Bill? For phase one?
Monthly or quarterly? It wasn't even monthly. You know, we only had a few invoices.
So
But so we'll get updates.
we could have
At some
updates,
point.
because they're gonna be tracking, if they're obviously paying their people, all they have to do is just figure out how many hours did they charge.
I mean, because I think if we're getting billed by the hour along this project, it'd be nice to know this
Well-
month it was this much was this month, so it's not at the end they go, oh, by the way, we go, but it doesn't seem right to me.
Yeah, no, and we can work with that pretty easily. And like I said, with their updating you, they're gonna be giving you an idea of where we stand on the progress. They'd say, okay, we're 40% of the way through, we're 39% of the way through the money, we're 43% of the way through the money. They could sit down and look and say, you know, a ballpark of where they are.
Well, yeah, I don't want to monopolize any time.
No, if you got something to say it.
All I know is if it isn't a part of the Pell process and it doesn't advance or, you know, get the project done, whoever it is that we have doing this for us, they shouldn't be doing it and billing us for it. And I'm only going to throw this out here the one time, but the one thing that they did the last time that kind of irritated me was they started talking about, well, we need to change the logo. We don't need to change the logo. I mean, you know, you don't need to be spending your time or your mental energies thinking about a stupid logo, for crying out loud, that has nothing to do with anything. So that's I had to get that off my chest. It just that irritated me.
That's fine, that's good. Mark, did you want to chime in?
Well, of course I do.
Should I turn this up or on?
Yeah. So I've gone through, you know, the contract really closely. And I've gone through phase 2, A and B. And, you know, I guess, you know, what I'd say up front is I don't have an issue with Networks Northwest handling that engagement aspect, but I think we would need to talk to them, talk to Matt McCulley and say, listen, in there it clearly states that they're going to use IPR, Interlochen Public Radio, and the government channel on cable as their primary media outlets. It's stated right in the proposal. Those are not representative of our community. So we would have to work on that with Matt in Networks Northwest to have a better outreach in the community. And part of that also is that I would not want Networks Northwest to be hosting any pages or any information on a website pertaining to the Grand Traverse County Road Commission data that we're paying for from our consultants. So that takes me up to the fact that, you know, I may be comfortable with OHM. I think we need to still ask ourselves the question, if the bulk of the money we're going to pay OHM is going to some consultant that is not a United States firm, we have to question that and see if OHM has another resource for that same information, information that can be particular. I think we need. And then,
Mark,
what?
you're breaking up a little bit. There, no, go ahead now.
Okay. So then, I think we need to have a single source for data. particularly, not necessarily the files that we file with us for documentation with our engineering term and management, but I think more for the public outreach side. And that's a little bit what I said about Networks Northwest not hosting any page or any information. We own that information from our consultant the minute we pay for it, this minute we contact. So what I propose this time around is that the Grand Traverse County Road Commission, which has an excellent website, host that information, not OHM or the consultant, whoever we choose. That would be 100% hosted and managed by the Road Commission, and we put it out on our website, the information that we deem is necessary to the public. And then, so we can control the data and the content and the message that's going on that to make sure that we're getting it out there right. On the travel demand model information that they put in this phase 2, I think because of their past experience, we need to put the press on them. And prior to contracting them, we need some assurances that the modeling or the data that they're actually going to ask for in the modeling is readily available or a source that they know they can get it from. I don't believe there's anything in there that they can't already get their hands on prior to modeling. We want assurances from them contractually that they can. Therefore, we protect ourselves from an additional cost like what happened last time. You know, they charged us $50,000. Yeah, we bought the data. They couldn't provide it from the source that they told us they could get it from. So I think it's important that we do that up front with them and just put them on notice that they better do their homework and make sure that they can provide that information because we're not having an open checkbook. And then that takes me into the timetable for activities. Wayne did mention that there's some flexibility got to be built in his presentation this evening, and I would agree with that. But when we had a 45% difference in their timetable as an increase, that's unacceptable, and we know it. And, you know, basically, I don't want to hear excuses. Nobody on the board does, and certainly if we're paying the bill, we don't need to hear excuses. So what I would ask is in the contract that we put in there in terms of the article about compensation, that there's penalties for every month they go over their timetable. I think that's going to incentivize them to actually get it done on time and not push it out a 12-month project to 15 or 16 months. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm still not real comfortable with OHM, but if we address some of these issues about controlling the website, getting the data assurances up front so we don't get stung on that financially, that we work with them on that timetable, and they've got to be incentivized to get it done. I think in this case, it's going to be a negative incentive rather than a positive. We're not going to pay them more to get it done before 12 months. We're just saying you go beyond 12 months, you're going to pay or discount it. And then Networks Northwest, the communication in terms of expanding that from IPR and the government channel to other sources. And again, that has a lot to do with our board understanding our community and the consultants not understanding our community because none of them are here, none of them live here, and they need to listen to us. So that's kind of where I'm at on it tonight. That's all.
Carl, I get it. Okay. On Mark's comment about posting a website, we want to keep a certain distance away from this whole process, right? As part of the Pell, and if we're controlling what information is being put out or pushed to the public, doesn't it put us into the fray so it kind of takes away from that whole control from the, because we're supposed to be have as little control of this whole process as possible, how I understand the Pell, is that correct?
Correct.
So
right.
this controlling the website
we're
may
not,
be an issue?
we're not
or not?
influencing, entity on that there, right? And so that was the idea, as well as having a separate contract with Networks Northwest, so that we are at arm's length reach from them, so that there is not that implication that we are controlling the message. The message is what the community is saying. out there. The message is what they want and what they are desiring. That's the whole process. So now we do host it. It is out there and it's linked directly to our website, so it's there.
Is that on our servers or is that on someone else's server?
That's on.
It's not on our site.
No.
We just linked to it.
It is on, right.
Andy, I can answer the question. They hosted the website, they posted the information, and all we had was a link from our website to theirs. Okay?
I thought I was trying to make sure.
Nowhere am I suggesting that we're going to control, like Big Brother, control the information going out there. What I'm suggesting is that we have a single source, that it be our website, because people in our community know that and they go to that website, and that before it's published, we get to make sure that it's accurate and timely. And that never happened before, and they never talked to us, and there was a complete breakdown of communication. And this is going to require them, everything is going to pass across our manager's desk, everything is going to pass across the eyes of the board. We're paying for it. We're not going to have undue influence because we can't change the data that's being posted.
I mean, I agreed with everything Mark said up until the website, and that I'm not disagreeing, but I don't necessarily agree, because I want to make sure that we're keeping the distance that we're supposed to for the bell process.
So we have to do that part of it, keep that.
And that's when he
I
said,
think Mark's point on rather than interlocking radio and those other sources, I think I'm in total agreement with him. If we want this message out there, that's probably not the best places to put that message out there for the majority of people to hear.
right. Everything else Mark said.
So I mean, that you're being right, crystal clear that you're trying to get that message out to more people. So I'm in total agreement with that. The website thing, we definitely, we should, I mean, they're gonna compile all that for us, but we should still have a look at it, make sure it is accurate data, if they're putting data out there. I mean, we should make sure that.
They have, in phase one, they had that information available. We were able to review it. If there was an issue with something, we were able to talk with them and they made corrections to it. So I don't have any issues with that. I think it's very important that, again, we kind of keep that arm's length distance there, so like there's not that perception or potential perception from the community that we are guiding things, that we're the puppet masters up here guiding everything.
Now, the public's on the bus and we aren't even at the bus stop. We're not on this deal at all until after it all comes together through the public interaction. And that's kind of a tough thing to get your head wrapped around, because I mean, we're on the sidelines, we're not in the game. But we're paying for the game. And that's a tough thing to get your head wrapped around.
We can't even cheer.
No, and that arm's length is what we have to make sure that we maintain, because the public is what's driving this thing, not us.
Just remember though, the link from the site, we have a link from the site to the phase one, okay, I mean, to their website. There's nobody in Grand Traverse County who thought that was an arm's length.
Yeah.
They thought it was us. It was just a us,
Right.
A subsection of what we're doing.
Right.
And perception, be damned. They're always going to think it's us anyway.
Yeah, they are.
No matter
So
what's put on.
We just make sure that we do what we're supposed to do, and we can't change that perception.
So what I would say is that they're hosting on their server phase one. Now we're going to have them host phase two. And then when we no longer are working with them, that information that they posted in that website that they have up goes away with them.
I mean, we still have, phase one is East-West Link is still out there. I believe that information is proprietarily ours. And so if we were to separate or something like that there, then that information would all be provided for us and either put onto our website directly or somehow, data stored for us.
So it should
So
be
then what's the difference then? I mean, if it's sitting on their server and they decide we're no longer going to be with them and we sever our contract, now they send us their data that they had on their server and we're going to put it up on our website. Oh, we're crap now. You got to understand the technology. The technology is hosting and making sure that we preserve it. And the reality is that by them hosting the website or us hosting the website means nothing to anybody in terms of arm's length. I appreciate what you're all saying, but it has nothing to do with it. It's our data. We own it. And we should be able to put it up. I mean, they're submitting information to us, and we put it up. But prior to that, we actually look at it. And we make sure that it's accurate, and we ask questions. That wasn't done in phase one. So this is a stopgap for us to be assured that the information that's being presented to the public is accurate. And I'm not suggesting that by any means we would censor that information. It would be full disclosure. But we would, if it was posted incorrectly or correctly. So I mean, that's where I'm at on it. I just don't.
Well, if it's inaccurate, we should have it corrected by them. That's
Fixing things.
yeah, and so maybe that's something that, we need to address with them, that, they need to be a little more prompt if something like that, if it's inaccurate, it needs to be corrected, and,
Now,
Yeah.
Mark had brought up a good point about the time and trying to keep them to schedules. Is there a way that we can include it into a contract that if you go over, we get a discount?
I'm gonna adamantly say no.
Kind of what I thought you
From
were
the
gonna say.
perspective, okay, so I've worked with certain federal processes through my career. And one thing that the feds are very adamant about is you do not push the public. Okay, you've got timeframes, and they're happy to push themselves in their own agencies, but it would be equivalent to me going on out to a resident that we're looking to get an easement from and saying, if you don't sign this by, 2:00 this afternoon, man, we're just gonna blow on by here and do nothing. I've just unduly pressured that person, that resident. They don't like it. So that's why, these are timeframes, and they're gonna work very hard, and staff, we are gonna work very hard on making and keeping these dates. But if one of the groups just comes to loggerheads and an extra meeting is necessary in order to kind of get them through that,
changes your schedule.
then that has potential on the schedule. Last year, we ran into that where it got pushed and we had to have a meeting in, and we're running into the holidays, and, no one likes to have that meeting in on December 22nd, so it got pushed again. So those things can happen, but those are things that we're going to be informing you about. Those are things that they are going to be informing you about.
That's what I was afraid you were gonna say.
That's what I'm back to life. Yeah.
I mean, that many governmental agencies and construction projects. That's life, buddy. You're dealing with bureaucrats.
That's the difference between public and private sector stuff. You can put pressure on the private sector.
That's the difference if you want to use any federal and state dollars on any of this. If they have the goals, they make the rules, you follow those rules.
So let me understand this, because we're seeking federal funding. The group that we're contracting with cannot be held accountable to their contractual timeline because it goes against the federal scope to push a project.
I don't believe those are my words, Mr. McKellar.
Well, you know,
No, those were clearly not my words, Mr. McKellar. So the process is, in order to achieve these processes, our schedules must remain flexible because those schedules are working with these public groups. And it's those public groups that this whole process is built on in order to get their input onto it. And if we shove and push onto that, then we're no longer following the Pell process. And
right.
we
Yeah,
just-
I agree.
Yeah, you guys.
Yeah, I agree with that. So, well, I feel that we're kind of stepping into something here, and I just got this feeling about. I feel like we're writing them a check. We don't have a lot of control over the how the money's being spent. I don't think we are in a position where we want to control the process, nor do we want to try to control the outcome. That's not at all my concerns at all. But I've said enough. I'm just kind of really uncomfortable with the way the first process went. And I thought the process of how we hired them was good. And I just question why we don't use that process to rehire them for phase 2 and potentially see if there's somebody else out there that can do it. Over $500,000 goes out of the United States to another Canadian company. It's like, what's that all about? I don't know. Maybe there isn't somebody in the States that can do it, or maybe there isn't somebody that they feel comfortable with that can do it. And if they make the case with us, fine.
They're headquartered in Canada. Their offices are in Southeast Michigan. They're Michigan employees. They're U.S. employees.
Okay. Bill?
I think as you said before, is that I guess process is we seem to be going down a dog's wagging the tail and tail wagging the dog's tail. Basically, I think the number one decision we need to make is, are we going to go into like period? First of all, and then secondly, we need to go into the finer points of the contract negotiations once we've selected something. And part of those contract negotiations are going to be the items that I think Mark brought up, and I agree with most of them. I think as far as the website hosting, Dave Tato, if it creates some sort of perception of impropriety that we hosted our website, set up an independent one, call it the East-West website and rent a server someplace. And then put links from both out of that. So it's totally independent. I don't, and we have to make sure that we don't have the impression that the data is being put to us. We then censor it or modify it to our own personal benefit and then post it. We make sure that it is very clear that what's there is what's there and it's legitimate and it's factual and it's not tainted in any way. And I think we can do that. And we can do that. As far as the media, yeah, I don't think we should restrict or pick a media outlet. If NPR wants to report on it, good for them. If we want to sit down and have a talk with Ron Jolly, good for us. If all these other things, to pick and choose media outlets or preferred media outlets, I think is a bad move. I think it's whoever wants to be there, whoever wants to do it. The more the merrier, hopefully.
Right.
As far as the other thing, yeah, I agree with what Wayne said as far as trying to set a time. I don't see any way reasonable you can put in penalty clauses and liquidated damages on a contract like this. I don't know. I think it would drive an attorney to distraction to try to come up with something like that was legally enforceable and also would make any sense or that would protect you in any way in the long run anyway. And who's to say they would accept it? It takes two sides of the contract negotiation to accept the terms. And if I was somebody like OHM, I would say, no. So, we can ask, but, like you can ask, but sometimes you get slapped a lot. But I agree, Mark's put some valid points. That's the point I made before is that we need to look at this and then make up these concerns And staff needs to work them out and negotiate with our selected group. And get it worked out and make sure we get the best contract possible that's most advantageous.
Okay, so I guess where we're headed here tonight is, are we gonna proceed on with the firm that we've used?
We have to get
And at that point, if that is the case, that we do proceed on, that we direct staff to get this contract negotiated with them so that we can get the thing back in front of the board meeting to approve it and proceed on. Is that what we're doing?
I would think that sounds reasonable.
So I'll make a motion that we move forward with OHM. Or we select OHM to be our contractor tentatively for phase 2 pending contract negotiations from staff.
Support.
Okay, motion by Andy, supported by Bill. Now, we've had lots of discussion, but I'm open for any more. Hearing none. Kylie?
Merrick,
Yes.
McKellar,
Dramatic pause.
McKellar,
Or which?
I could not hear Andy Merrick's motion.
So, I made a motion to move forward with OHM as our, for phase 2, pending contract negotiations between OHM and staff.
Bill supported.
Yes.
Andy voted yes to proceed on,
He said yes.
and you're a yes, Mark?
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Mauser,
Yes.
Gilman,
Yeah.
Brown.
Hard spell.
Should have had a little longer pause.
Yes, okay, all right, so staff is gonna get a hold of them and address the issues that we have, and hopefully by next board meeting, or we would need to happen to do one earlier than that, if we can get something going.
Do we need to talk about what we want in the contract, or we all good at this point?
Well, I think
Let them work that out.
they've got the marching orders.
I just want to make sure.
Everybody-
more importantly, Marky's not here yet.
If anybody's uncomfortable, I said, write them up and send them in.
Yeah, if anybody, right,
Carl,
yes,
well, I just want to say thanks to the staff and the board for hearing out my objections. I know I've been a pain. I think that but we do make good decisions and we deliberate, and I appreciate that. And you guys just at least let me put some questions out there and answer them. So, and I special thanks to Wayne for putting up with me, because I really did nail him a lot. And I know he's like, wish this guy would just go away.
Wayne shaking his head, no, he doesn't.
well, questions are always good, that's the bottom line, and different points of view and different ways of looking at things, so and sometimes, one guy will look at something entirely different and you go, hey, I didn't even think of that, so that's good. So, okay, we have one more item on the agenda. Item I, which is the culvert failure on West Silver Lake Road, and we have a couple of bids, and I'm gonna let Brad go over it.
I will take care of the general idea, and if you have technical questions, Wayne can answer those, or Joe, because Joe did all the calculations. Thanks to Joe for putting in the extra work to get this done, because it was a pain tracking down everything he needed to do, so.
I know, I've been there.
The project that we have here is because of a culvert collapse on Silver Lake Road. It happened sometime before Thursday. We are not sure when, but it was pulling a lot of material out. So the guys went out there and they just poured sand and poured sand and poured sand down this hole. And eventually it stopped going, but they used over 5 yards of sand in the hole. So there was a big void underneath there. And then they had been in contact with Wayne at this point to say, hey, this is a big hole. What needs to be done here? What are you thinking? And they came up with the idea at that point, let's leave it be. Let's see what we've got. We'll come back and take a look at it. Well, the next day, which was Friday, We had issue, again, it had started to sink, so Elmer's being right around the corner and having a back truck right around the corner went over there to try and jet out the culvert, and the hose was going every which way except for through the culvert. They could not get it. So when they tried to dig part of the culvert out to try and get a little further in, basically all that came out was a little crescent moon piece of culvert, nothing else was left. So it had been there for a while, it had decayed thoroughly. They decided at that point, there was no way they were gonna get through it. So Elmer's had 3 small pumps that they could let us use. We dug a trench across the road, deep enough to hold the hoses. We put the hoses in, put 3 pumps in. We covered it with steel plates. Rick and Todd were out there till 3 o'clock in the morning watching them and helping them get everything done, moving lights and everything so that we could get this stuff done. A lot of our guys came in to help out and get stuff moved around. So we got it. We had them running 3 pumps. When Rick came back on Saturday, the problem with those pumps, they ran about an hour and a half and they were out of fuel. So we couldn't keep going for long like this. Didn't matter because they were losing ground with the water that was there with these 3 pumps. So we looked into it, and the only pumps, because of the fact that there was a dam break, I'm pretty sure most of you heard about the dam break. You know, a lot of the pumps in the state are in use down there. We were able to track down 2 trailer mounted pumps, and we got them in here. They're very expensive. They're very large pumps. They're over $130,000 a piece. So it's not like they're something we're ever gonna buy, but it's something that we needed. We rented both of them for the week for $15,000. And at that point, we realized, you know, we've got to get this culvert replaced. We had areas that were rising quickly in the subdivision back behind this, to the point where one gentleman back there was very, very concerned that his entire house was going to be flooded. His shed was underwater, and we ended up having a substantial amount of water up in there, far, far above what was normally there at any other time. So we started pumping, left them pumping. We were gaining ground slowly. You know, we pumped well over 10 million gallons of water over the course of a couple of days. We were doing great, and then it rained. And within one big rainstorm, we were right back to where we were. As of this morning, when Joe went out there, it was in pretty rough shape. It had gained back up above where we were originally. And in your time there, Joe, you said we lost about 4 inches. It fell back down.
It fell back down, but I went out right before the meeting and it was up 6 from that.
So, yeah, so the rain we've had has not been our friend by any means. So we got some bids for the main portion of this here, and this is where we have Milan came in low at $129,437. This includes them building a cofferdam around the end of the culvert and dewatering to the best of their abilities, removing the broken culvert and replacing it with a substantially larger concrete culvert. Instead of a 24-inch round, we're moving to a 38 by 60-inch elliptical culvert. We believe that will be here hopefully tomorrow or the day after, so we can get going on this. They are going to be working to get this all done as quick as possible, because it's going to cost them now to rent pumps to keep the water level down as they're building these dams. So they're going to move along quite quickly. Because of the rising water and the fact that it went back up, we lost another culvert that we were made aware of yesterday that was further down through this same subdivision towards the very end of it.
Upstream?
Upstream. So we went up there, we looked at it, and one portion, the upstream side of the culvert is now completely submerged. it's partially blocked because there's a beaver that's made its home in it, and it doesn't seem to want to leave. So we've got the other side is below ground, but we've lost quite a bit of sediment around that also. We are going to need to purchase another pipe for that, and we're hoping that our crews can do the work once this new pipe gets opened up. We're hoping the water level drops down, and it's something that our crews can do internally. But that's where we have about $35,000 of approval that we need to get that pipe, and also have some of the additional restoration that's in these areas, because there's some substantial damage that we had to do to get this water to flow properly. We're gonna have to restore the bottom of where this drain is back to its original form. Because they basically came in and dug a trench so that we have enough. And so we're gonna have to do some additional miscellaneous cleanup, plus we have the new culvert, the secondary culvert that we're gonna have to replace. So we are asking here for a total of about $186,437. That should cover us for everything. That's got a little bit of additional funding built in. Elmer's Friday night work, we're putting it in at 7,000. They have not got a final number together for us, but they were estimating somewhere around 6,000. We're throwing in an extra 1,000 there. The 15,000 we know is a set cost. The 129,437 is a set cost. That 35,000 has a little bit of extra built in because we really don't know, once this water level drops, how much restoration we're gonna have to do.
So we're looking at putting a bigger, significantly bigger culvert in, right?
Yes, and I will let Wayne answer the comparative
Now, is that,
volume of flow.
will that create a problem downstream by opening up that flow?
No, MDOT's already putting in a larger on their 31 project.
Because that's where we had problems, we did, MDOT had problems with backing up over by Pioneer Diesel / Incredible Motors there, right?
Right. And so they're putting in a new one there. That's all size. It's gonna be equivalent to our size.
I wasn't sure if maybe that smaller pipe would restrict how much
We
water.
did never want it to restrict. We'd always want it.
And then the backwaters would flex.
We don't want backwater.
Creates the hole, you know.
Yeah,
That's what happens when your culvert collapses.
So,
I got color pictures.
I'm assuming contractors are ready to go. And they would start tomorrow, I'm assuming, is that?
well, as soon as we take everything okay, they're gonna start pulling together everything. They're
Okay,
gonna get their detour set up. I mean, we could have in theory started today if it didn't rain all day.
Right.
You know? But we definitely have to get on this quicker. rather
So
than-
Mullen is our preferred.
They came in low. Well, the original bid for Elmer's did not include any dewatering, and when they added their dewatering, they were about $20,000 more than Milan.
I would move that we give you approval to get this process underway, and using Mullen Excavating, and also to make the payments, the necessary payments for the Elmer's, the pump rental, and the the second culvert replacement.
put the dollar amount.
Okay, for a grand total of 186,437.
Is this a more or less one?
Is this more or less?
Sounds like.
Sounds like you already had more in there.
I put in more. I built in a pretty,
For this or less.
yeah. We expect it will be less, and we will come back to you and give you a total number. when it's
Support.
complete.
So, okay, motion and support. My question is for our money man. We have budgetary money that,
Yeah, we'll have to pull it from our projected fund balance.
okay.
I don't think this is an option though.
It is not, an option. It's not an option,
We always
but,
want to maintain a healthy fund
but
balance.
I just want to know where the money's coming from. So,
This is one of the reasons.
it's, I mean, it is not an option. I mean, that's for sure, but, it could impact other things, is, you know,
Right.
$200,000.
Well, if we were any further away, I think we would have had to have a special meeting for this.
Right, absolutely, absolutely, so.
So what kind of influence is gonna have, we have to shut down the road to do this?
Oh,
This isn't
Yeah,
something
this
they
is a
can do a
complete
section,
detour.
this is something, do a section, then do the other
No, this
section.
would be an open,
This is-
this would be an open cut.
Where are they gonna detour around?
Well, that's already taken care of through WorkSafe.
Yeah.
For our traffic
Give me a break
signage.
or give them a break.
Give them a break,
They're gonna
whatever.
take care
The
of
signage will take care of all of that. So.
That's more a
That's-
personal question, I'm sorry, go
Well,
ahead.
I'd be
taking an oath.
I don't know where else I can
So-
go.
Mark, any comments?
Everywhere.
Nope, I'm good. You know, I was object to the budget amount, but hey, I think you guys covered that.
Okay. Okay.
I'm as good as I'm gonna be on this one, there's nothing I can do about it. I get old.
Walk. Walk and swim. Kylie, roll call.
McKellar,
Yes.
Mauser,
Yes.
Gilman,
Yes.
Merrick,
Yes.
and Brown.
Yes. Okay, we are to item, is that what it is, 7A? 7A, Brad.
There's not a whole lot new, since our Wednesday. People are still moving through doing stuff. We've been rained out a few days, so people have taken some time off, because there's just not that much and they'd rather be at home, I think, than dealing with being out in the rain. Our guys were out on, Park and Airport, due to an accident. That will be another one that will be coming back to you. We had emergency replacement of the entire signal box. It clearly was hit, but they did not report it. How they did not severely damage their car, there were no car parts left behind or anything. We are hoping to see some surveillance video of it so that we can find out who hit it, to get it repaired on insurance costs, but we did get a fully built box delivered to us this morning and the signal is back up and running. So, unfortunately, if we don't find somebody that was responsible, it comes out of general operations also, and it's gonna be probably what we say about
I think between 40 and 50.
that.
Wow.
The hits keep coming.
Well, hopefully,
Find those pot lickers.
hopefully, Team Bob's has a camera pointed that direction.
Yeah, we're hoping, we're hoping, because that's a lot of money and their insurance should be the ones paying for it. We just have to figure out what we can see and if it's good enough to figure out who did it. I mean, clearly, to do as much damage as they did to that box, there was nothing salvageable left in the box.
Could they stop and pick up all the car parts on the way out?
No idea how it happened. Nobody could figure it out. The police had no idea how it could be how it could have happened when they came out to do the report. So
They're probably passing out wearing a mask while they're
Well,
driving.
it'll be gone pretty quick too.
So, and then the only other thing we have, we are, about halfway through our Elk Rapids exchange work and we got rained out, so he'll be back there next week, but they have expressed job they've ever seen, but he did on their alleys, so they're very happy with it. So it's, and it's gonna be a heck of a nice jetter for us. It's gonna be something we'll be able to keep our culverts clean from now on, and we won't hopefully experience a catastrophic failure, because we'll actually be able to clean them out and look through them better and see if there are areas that are aware.
Blow those beavers right the heck out of there.
Yeah, we gotta hope so. And that's all I have for
That's it?
today.
Phil, anything?
Just keeping an eye on the MTF funds. Early on, they said expect about 10% decrease for every month, and this past check that we'll be getting next week, which represents April, is down 11.5% from the prior year. So it's about 15% off of MDOT's updated estimates from Treasury. So continuing to watch the state, they need to put a budget amendment through to kind of balance their books, and we still have the $325 million of general fund monies coming in this year, and $600 million for next year's. That's divided out through the MPF formula. That causes me a little concern because
Yeah,
very concerned.
we all should be,
Kind of
absolutely.
did South Airport, banking on
Right.
this and the way we're ramping up. So
That's just, it's one of those things unforeseen,
Oh.
and if we have to adjust, we have to adjust.
we'll continue to keep an eye on it and we'll adjust accordingly.
I see the MTF should be down the road, you're bumping back up. I mean, I'm looking at traffic and that, and sure it's all over the traffic is picked up, not just here, but here, I mean, night and day, so. Joe, Wayne, anything?
Good.
No? Kylie, anything? I'll even ask you tonight.
I'm good.
You're good? Bill,
I'm all done.
you're all done? Andy?
I happened to drive by when they found the hole. Rick and Todd were both down there, and then two guys came up, and our big trucks filled with sand and gravel, and they emptied a whole truck of sand into that hole. And I'm very appreciative of the staff that came in on their time out, or after the shift. And Todd and Rick both did a great job, so I think they both need to be, or all four of those guys, I can't remember the two.
There ended up being, I think, 6 people that were involved.
There was a commissioner involved.
You can't charge it.
Jason?
I want to actually give Mark some credit for just kind of sticking with this in terms of our accountability. I mean, it really kind of illustrates why government costs so much. I mean, the bottom line is you have an organization, OHM, for all the good work that they can do. They know how the game is played, and they know exactly what we can and cannot do and expect out of them. And would everything else in our personal lives be so profitable? but like I said, I do want to give Mark some credit for at least keeping it alive, so we can at least have some kind of intellectual discourse about it. And that's all.
All right. Mark?
Well, I appreciate that, Jason, and nope, I'm good.
Okay. Myself, I think I've probably said more than I should have tonight. I think I'm good there. So we will go to the last public comment, and we will read the rules of engagement again.
Any person may make an advanced appointment with the board regarding road commission topics for a regular or special meeting in accordance with the Open Meetings Act. If an appointment is made, the topic will be an agenda item. The following applies to public comments. Please state his or her name and address. Topic must be relevant to the road commission. Individuals are allowed to speak once for up to 3 minutes on a single topic, which may be extended by the chair. A group addressing the board requires a designated spokesperson who may speak up to 10 minutes, and the board will not act on any item from the public that is not on the agenda. For people using the Zoom software, please raise your hand through Zoom if you wish to comment. We will unmute callers. If you wish to speak, say yes. I don't think we have any callers.
Okay, Joe?
The caller is left and the chat lines are open.
Okay.
And no one has raised their hand yet.
So we'll give them the time allotted.
Nope. We have one.
It's Ron.
Of course it is.
Okay.
Ron Roloff, you are unmuted.
He is?
He muted himself.
Maybe he made a mistake in raising his hand.
Sometimes
I think you did.
You said roll off? Must be a birthday girl.
everybody wish me a happy birthday.
Probably begging for a birthday
It's
wish.
today is birthday.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Ron. Is that good?
Yeah, is this work now?
Yeah, it's working.
All right, I thought I was unmuted. I guess I got to do it myself. All right. Thanks, gentlemen, for keeping this short on my birthday. I appreciate it. Was good info, and the meeting went pretty good. I thought it went well. That was it. Nothing big, but since nobody else is speaking out there, I figured I'd put my 2 cents in.
You have a good night, Ron.
Thanks. You too. Thanks.
That was the only one, Joe?
That was it.
Okay,
Move to adjourn. Or
we got to do roll.
Mauser,
Yes.
Gilman,
Yep.
Merrick,
Yes.
McKellar,
Yes.
and Brown.
Yes. Good evening.
I almost said no, so I sit here and talk. So